What's up? What's up? What is up? It's another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. That's where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Only two from the crew are in the building. And the reason behind that, in a strange way, connects us to the entire show. The reason behind that is because it's August. The reason behind that is because people travel, they vacation. They have a lull. They put their feet up. They relax. They chill in August. And the same thing seems to be true in sports. As sports enthusiasts, as purists, you know this is the time of the year in that early August where we are starving. We are craving for certain things to happen. And last night it happened. Football is officially back. So this is the transition. We named it August because it's our job as the Ball Hog Sports Talk crew to get you out of that summer lull. We're going to pull you out of it and resuscitate you and get you ready for some fall ball, whatever it is that you like. If that didn't get you excited, just stay tuned because the Ball Hog Sports Talk, we're going to make sure we bring the heartbeat back to sports business entertainment. We got an amazing show lined up for you. So make sure you stay tuned. Get you one of them big old tall cups of coffee. Pour some little whatever you want in that thing just so you can stay with us.
No judgment.
No, it's August. It's August. You do what you do. It's August.
Do the damn thing.
Do the damn thing. With no further ado, boys and girls, cats and rats, dogs and frogs, anything and everything, other species that you could imagine, pull up a seat, turn up your headphones, and let's get the Ball Hog Sports Talk rocking.
Let's go.
Let's
go.
Wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go. Once again, it's on. We stepped up to the microphone, and you know what we do? Got things along. It's August, baby. I do, it's a hot something. You know what I mean?
Get your little cardboard out, get your little break dancing going on.
You know what I mean? What's your favorite summer song, man? It's August. Right, for me, it's Will Smith Summertime. I gotta get mine off.
I say that's the only thing that he's good for. You can throw away the rest of his body of work, except for maybe the movie Ali. That was kind of decent.
I actually said those words, Will Smith. You know, he's persona non grata. You can't even say Will Smith.
He might smack the shit out of you. You better shut up talking. Keep your mouth.
You can't say my name, punk.
Get your name. My name out your mouth.
It's August, baby. You know what that means for sports enthusiasts? It's like they fall asleep. They sleep at the wheel. We got to wake them up. And who better to do that? From the mid-coast. We have middle coast. Thank you for the correction. From the middle coast. You know who it is. It's my man. None other than the man, the myth, the legend. Thou who shall be known and respected as intergalactically and beyond. If there is a beyond. In this life and the afterlife, it is the Big Flow Show.
What's good, America? I mean, it's August. I mean, I don't know what to say. You know, we got to be positive because we're almost there, right? Almost there. We're not there. We're almost there, though.
Almost there, baby.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I can see it, like when you're driving and you can see it, or you go downtown Chicago, you hit the traffic, you're riding. But then when you can see the Sears Tower, you feel like, man, all right.
I'm almost there.
We're almost there.
That's where we are with sports. That's where we are with sports. We look it over. I like that analogy. The Sears Tower, football is right there.
It's right there.
Right
over there.
It's right over there.
So I'm excited, man. Baby boy turned 20. I lost a teenager now. I got a 20-year-old.
Happy birthday to the Big Flow Show, the real Big Flow Show.
Yeah, the next show, right? The next show. So he started. He had his first football practice last night. I'm over here thinking he might call somebody. I'm not going to hear from him, but I'm hoping.
It's been 20. It's been 20, man.
Like grown now.
There's a lot that comes with being 20, including having his own life.
He got things to do. So I'm just going to sit back and wait for it to become September. Because that's when it comes on, baby.
There are more songs about September because people are so excited to get into the fall and get rid of all that chilling on a beach. You know, I got my balling on the beach. Everybody got their feet up on the beach right now, right? People there's way more songs about September. But for us, we getting into it in August. And we do see the Sears Tower. That is the tower of sports in the fall when all of these things come together and we get excited. We do see the Sears Tower right there. It's close. I can envision it. I can feel it. And I can do so because the Hall of Fame game was last night.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame game was last night. And yes, you know who won the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
The Browns. As the dog pound showed y'all what it's going to be all year. I know they were backups. I did like that DRT or whatever, the kid from UCLA. I mean, he played for UCLA for 38 years. I think it's DRT, whatever his name is, the quarterback who was at UCLA forever.
Oh, is that who that was? The skinny black kid?
Yeah.
What I like is when he gave the ball to your man's and then he threw that block. You see that block he threw?
It was a very good block. That's I want to make the team block.
That's a 53, that's a 53 and a half block right there.
I can relate with this football. I can't relate always with the September football. The August football I can relate to because I was always 53 and a half. I was fighting to keep a job in them 2 training camps I was with. And then the 3rd training camp, they almost sent me to Europe and I was going to be fighting into. So I can relate to these guys fighting to stay on the team. And it's good football, man. You find some diamonds in the roughs, right? You find some diamonds in the rough. I think that we saw a lot of that last night. The Cleveland Browns, were victorious. And I think that is the beginning of our Super Bowl run. So you heard it here first. In the beginning of August, we are August, 4th? We are August 4th. The 4th of August. How many days? 4 of them. F-O-4. 4 days in August. We only 4 days in August, and I'm telling you who's going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to look which camera we
on? Light me up. Listen, mic me up.
Hey,
it's a hot mic. Hey, you know it's a hot mic. I just want to make sure.
It's a hot mic. I want to make sure y'all get this. You heard it here. Only 4 days into August. I'm sick of playing with y'all, man. We finally going to win this thing. The Cleveland Browns got everything it takes. Our man Deshaun Watson got all that massage stuff behind him. We have the best running back in football, Nick Chubb. We have pieces around. We got a great defense. We got a great coach. And I tell you, we have a great story because this is our time to win. So if you didn't believe me 2 days ago, after seeing us win the Hall of Fame game last night and open up what is now football season, thank you very much. Y'all can send us the thank you cards. We the ones who open up football season. We beat the Jets that everybody talking about. So I just want y'all to know we going to win the Super Bowl. Place your bets now and just make sure you break me off.
Next topic.
You know what the odds are right now? The odds of
put your money up.
See for Siri. What are the odds that Cleveland is going to win the Super Bowl? I bet the odds are crazy.
I bet it's plus 1,500, probably.
I don't know. I bet you might want to place your bet. You might want to place your bet. Like every year, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be people like Scott Bibb that's going to say stuff like, how about them Cowboys? But you never heard me go this far out on a limb. So this is unique. My presentation comes with some authenticity, not just doing it because they do it like Cowboys fans. Welcome to the show, Scott Bibb, and welcome to the show, everybody else. I'll say this before we hop into what we saw last night, and then we're going to get into some Hall of Fame discussion. I'll say this. Like we say every week, humbly we ask you to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and the podcast. We would greatly appreciate it. Don't cost you anything, maybe 3 seconds out of your life, and it will do a world of favor for us.
It's plus 3,000. My bad. I was tripping.
Plus 3,000?
Plus 3,000. You might as well put your whole thing in there. Put the whole account.
The whole pot?
Yeah, just push it in.
All right, we're gonna by the end of the show, I'm making my mind up. But, I'm putting some money on this. Browns go win the Super Bowl plus 3,000. I told y'all. So when you make it, if you make the bet, make the bread, just break me off something. That's all I say. But it is called the Hall
You're
of
the
Fame
first
game.
to think of it. You are the first and only one who has said that.
Yes. That's normally what plus 3,000 odds look like. It's got to be somebody step out on the limb, and you heard it here first. The ball
if plus 3,000 was a person,
I will say this, man, because early in the preseason season, the season before the season, you don't see some of the great names play. Like Aaron Rodgers ain't gonna play in that, right? So I do like that we get to see some of the kids really fighting, young men. That's when you know you old. You call an NFL guy a kid. The young men fighting for roster spots. Every year there's a story beyond just the HBO Hard Knocks. Every year there's a story, and every camp there's a story. And so tune in, y'all. Don't just write it off as that's just preseason. Because as the title of the show says, and as the last several weeks have suggested, we have been craving and starving for some football. So give the guys who are 53 and a half, like I was, right? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. At any point, you can get that call and be off the roster. Give them guys some support and watch some of this football. That's my PSA. What did you think about last night before we hop into the actual Hall of Fame itself? Because the inductees got a chance to hang out last night. What did you think about the game?
Well, I watched the game, attentively because Cameron Mitchell, from Northwestern's over there, good family friend. So we were excited to see him play, make his first PBU. So I tuned in for that. And I kind of wanted to see them come back and check it out. I do like seeing some of the young guys you forget about that just show up and had the heart. But it was good, man. It got me excited. The fact that it was a decent game, helps out.
Right.
So it was good. I'm happy. Just happy to see them back out there.
Absolutely, man. I shout out to what's his name?
Cameron Mitchell.
Shout out to Cameron Mitchell and all the other, names that might not be household names, but that are going to go out there and fight for a spot. The household names from last night are the 2023 inductees.
No doubt.
And that list of Hall of Fame inductees for this year: Rondé Barber, Joe Klecko, Darrelle Revis, DeMarcus Ware, Zach Thomas, Chuck Hawley, Ken Riley, Joe Thomas, and Don Coria. Joe Thomas had a homecoming last night. A celebration, shall we say. It was homecoming and prom wrapped up in one as a 2023 Hall of Fame inductee. He got to be there amongst the people that had cheered for him loud and proud in Cleveland. And I just wanted to say, what a night. Cleveland victorious. They won 21-16. Joe Thomas being inducted. Man, as a Browns fan, I hope I'm not just, too sappy about saying we're going to win the Super Bowl in this moment and I'm getting caught by the emotions and the feelings. Go place your bet.
Joe Thomas looked pretty good, huh?
Joe
Thomas looked like he retired from the NBA, not left tackle.
Yeah, but he's been looking good. He's been on TV.
He looks like he was never big, though. You know what I mean? Like when you look at the way
he was on the thinner side because he could play every position. I mean, you're gonna get me talking about my man's right now, but he could play any position on the line, which made him so versatile and so dominant. So as soon as he was eligible, I knew he would be a Hall of Fame inductee. Sure. Let's talk about some of the other names though from last night, because you got Zach Thomas, who was a very small, undersized linebacker. You have Darrelle Revis, and I think we all knew because Revis Island. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I thought Darrelle Revis was good. I thought he was good, but I think Darrelle Revis was helped by the media machine of New York.
I think when you look at it, it's kind of I never really looked at the stats. You see he's constantly on SportsCenter doing highlights. We had this discussion in basketball about like what makes a superstar. And, the media does help. And, Revis Island was sold well and he did very well. I will say his his career seemed to just go from hot to just done out of the NFL in a real short period of time where people, like your guy that you were so happy to congratulate that he's got a Lifetime Achievement Award was Rondé Barber.
But Rondé Barber was the opposite of that. He didn't just go from sugar to shit. Rondé Barber had a long career.
I know.
What
So
you're
that's why I
saying
feel
is you're saying Darrelle Revis went from on the top of his game to basically out of the league in no time.
A season and a half.
Right. That Rondé Barber was the exact opposite. Rondé Barber had staying power, longevity on every team he played. He had versatility playing both at the corner and the safety position. I think that's what got Rondé Barber in, to be honest with you. But I hear your point.
Did he play? What other teams did Rondé play for? Besides,
I don't. You gonna get me to line?
Get you
I don't know.
Stuff.
I mean, I know the Tampa Bay was his most notable stint, but he played down there 20 years. I mean, Rondé Barber had one of the longest defensive back careers that I can recall, and he was able to evolve and
25 sacks, which is 47 interceptions.
He's the only player ever to have that many sacks and that many interceptions.
Yeah. So, I mean, we get lifetime achievement. He's been out there. He played 39 seasons. So, I do believe
he played 39 seasons.
39 seasons. So, he
was 137 years old when he
Methuselah was his the lunch lady at his school.
Don't do that to Rondé Barber, man. Rondé Barber had a great career.
Oh, no. Rob Woodson had 1,000 tackles in for. Yeah, I don't know. Rondé Barber was good, but I look at that team and I say, okay, you have Warren Sapp, right? Hall of Famer. You had
first ballot Hall of Famer
for sure, monster.
You thought he was a monster. When Warren Sapp got in, I thought that was a media machine. But go ahead, I digress. First ballot, he was a very, very, very good defensive tackle. But my gosh, first ballot. That's like that. First ballot to me should be reserved for the creme de la creme de la creme de la creme.
You know what it is? This just shows your lack of knowledge of the game. So what happened is he's a 3 technique, 1 technique, and you feel like he didn't do the same things that defensive ends did. That's why you probably are thinking that, because otherwise he's a monster. When you can get pressure, nobody gets pressure from the nose guard position. Like that's not your job. You're there to stop the run. He played up the gut and was getting sacks all the time. Like that's why you didn't realize, because you're thinking about him and you're thinking about outside linebackers and rushing the quarterback, whatever. Well, he's doing
I'm thinking in his position, he was a very dominant player. And I also still think the two statements aren't mutually exclusive, that the first ballot designation should be reserved for the creme de la creme de la creme de la creme. And it shouldn't be political. It should be so obvious that it's obvious. Now, for you might think it was obvious. I was always a little bit
I don't see why
about Warren Sapp's the credit that people gave Warren Sapp, but
I don't see why Warren Sapp was the first ballot and BY wasn't. So I could go there. To me, they were very similar players.
You think Warren Sapp was a better player than BY? I would say BY is a better player than Warren Sapp, but Warren Sapp had the media machine behind him such that most average fans think that Warren Sapp was a better defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman.
I don't think he was a better D lineman than
BY. I don't know if you will meet a single offensive lineman that would make that statement. So the media machine helped Warren Sapp. You're helping my point here.
No, I agree.
Oh, okay. All right. I
agree that him. I don't think he was better than BY, but that doesn't mean that I don't think BY should have had to wait, is my point. I think BY should have came in right away. But you're right. But Warren Sapp, he got into it. Brett Favre, he did some stuff. Sometimes you gotta it's an entertainment business. Right?
It is entertainment business.
So he entertained more than BY did. And that's the reason why people didn't know. You had to be enthusiastic. But I digress. I look at what I was talking about Rondé is you have Lynch, that was a Hall of Fame. You have Brooks, Derek Brooks, Hall of Fame, say defense, whatever. So now you're telling me you have 4 Hall of Famers on the defense and y'all only won 1 Super Bowl? At some point maybe it was easier for him to play corner because Warren Sapp was rushing the passer so well. And then they couldn't go underneath because Derek Brooks was there. And then they were scared to go across the middle because Lynch was going to hit you in your mouth. And then Rondé had it easy. All he had to do was cover from the out. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. At some point, you got to tell me, maybe they have 7 Hall of Famers? Who else is a Hall of Famer on that defense? You can only have so many people out there and tell me you only won 1 Super Bowl.
Rondé Barber was good, bro. Let's see. Let's how many years he played. 1997 to 2012. What's that? 15 years? Quick math.
That's a long time.
That's a long time, bro. At a position that people normally have a steep drop off, a la Darrelle Revis. I thought Darrelle Revis being first ballot Hall of Famer
too much
is a bit much. And then I started digging into it a little bit more, and like there are arguments that Darrelle Revis is arguably the best. Like over the last week, I've started to dig into this because it's August, so ain't a whole bunch of games on.
Not that much to do.
Ain't that much to do, and I'm really seeing like pundits come out and say that Darrelle Revis is arguably one of the best cover corners ever in the NBA. In the NFL. That just I think that's media machine. That's propaganda, bro. That's like, no, you can't tell me that. And a lot of the arguments, the evidence used from these pundits is his performances, big performances against primetime receivers like Randy Moss. I think he held Randy Moss to under 40 yards twice. But even that, I started digging a few more layers. There's a lot to that, right? Because one of those is when he had a quarterback that wasn't a quarterback. So I don't know, man.
So here's the thing: is like,
maybe that's why.
Let me compare it. Was there ever a time where you thought Rondé Barber was the best in the game ever a season? The best player,
most reliable, not best.
Never. In the game, you thought that there was a time where you said, "Man, Rondé Barber's the best
most
player
reliable."
in the position.
No, I would say most reliable. Best, as we discussed.
You just made that up. First of all,
I did not.
I'm reliable.
Let me explain. Most reliable in terms of he's going to do his job. He's not going to pop up off the charts and do anything extraordinary, but he's going to do his job. Now they ran Tampa 2 defense, so that's why I'm saying most reliable, because Tampa 2 defense, you're not going to get as many interceptions, right? It's just a defense based on, bend but don't break. It's a different defense. They ran a very different defense. Physical. So I went with most reliable because I do think in terms of what he was asked to do, Rondé Barber was phenomenal in what he was asked to do. I'm just going to
call because, saying we're brothers, I'm calling bullshit. There was never a time you're in a conversation and someone said, who's the most reliable? First of all, that never happened. No one ever asked you who's the most reliable DB in the NBA.
That's because we don't discuss it that way. But I'm saying average fan doesn't discuss it that way.
There was never a point where you sat down, because we're comparing Revis and we're comparing Rondé. There was never a time where you're saying when he was in the NFL for 15 years, not one of those years when someone asked you, who's the best, did he even come in your mind?
Rondé Barber?
Yeah.
Fair. But I'm telling you the reason.
So when I'm saying Darrelle Revis had 95 PBUs in 5 years, which is the most by any player in the history of the NFL, right?
Playing a very different defense, but yes.
Playing different defense. But what I'm saying is Darrelle Revis for those 5 years was considered the best in the game. That's first ballot shit.
I know. What I'm saying to you is you're not hearing what I'm saying. He was considered the best in the game, in my opinion, largely because of a media machine that really wanted this.
No, it's because he had 95 PBUs in 5 years.
Cool. And I could then point to you, because I said most reliable. I can then point to you that if you're running a different defense, you're not getting PBUs in a Tampa 2 defense. You're just not, because when they throw there, it's normally an interception. Yeah. Rondé Barber only had 1 year in that entire time of his career where he had double-digit interceptions. And it was a phenomenal year. Darrelle Revis was always knocking on the door of double-digit interceptions during that 5-year span. Shout out to him. But I think that if you look at the game in a different light and understand that two very different defensive styles presents different statistical outputs, that's all I'm saying. I say he's most reliable because he did a damn good job. And then, oh, by the way, when most cornerbacks are out of the league because they're not fast enough to stay with the Randy Mosses of the world, he seamlessly transitioned into one of the best safeties in the game. Mm-hmm. That's Hall of Fame stuff to me. And not influenced by the media. That's all I'm saying with Revis Island. I just think that playing in New York while they were struggling, right, and under coaches that were high-profile names, I just feel like the media helped Revis Island become this thing. So much so that it was propaganda. I could be wrong. Because Devin Hester, right? Let's talk about the guys who did make it in. Devin Hester is undeniably the best return man that ever played the game. That's a first ballot Hall of Fame. And he didn't make it in.
They're stingy with special teams. Stingy. I think last year they got a kicker or a punter or somebody got in there.
Would you call Darrelle Revis the best ever to play the game at corner?
Let me start off by saying no, but I would say that the conversation, he deserves to be discussed.
Oh, I want to throw up.
We're
diluting the game. We're diluting the game by doing that, man. Because we let media impact. Now, did he have one of the best stories? Did he have one of the best runs in terms of media coverage? Did he have one of the best nicknames? Darrelle, Revis Island? Yes. Did he have some of the best performances in big-time moments against some of the best receivers? I'll give him that as well and say yes. But to me, that's a very narrow way to look at the game. Like, it's undeniable that Devin Hester is the best ever returnman to play this game.
Undeniable.
And yet he didn't make first ballot Hall of Fame.
Go back on your boy Rondé, who I'm picking on a little bit. 15 years, 47 picks. So he averages 3 picks a season.
I said that he only had 1 year of double digit.
So that makes it even worse. So you take 1 year out, so you take 10. So now you have 14 years and 37.
I dare you to look at tackles. He always was one of the leading defensive backs in tackles. Again, that's why I said most reliable, bro. It's not. It wasn't a shiny red Lamborghini. It was a Honda Accord.
He's the most okayest. He was good enough to make.
I don't say that's not the most okayest.
That's the most okayest.
He had
okay seasons. He had 15 okay. You got to give him the this is lifetime achievement. We chalk it up as a lifetime achievement. 15 years.
I call that a football player.
He's in the Hall of Fame for lasting 15 years in a position that requires cat-like reflexes, and I'll give him credit for that. But he was not a high-performing guy in those 15 years. He was just okay.
Well, his peers disagreed with you
Revis Island
because he was a perennial. He was
5 years. Nobody can mess with him for 5 years.
Well, his peers disagree with you because he was a perennial Pro Bowler. So he's making it to Pro Bowls. So something's happening. Without the interceptions, he's still going to Pro Bowls. So if that's the case, why in the
five? So 5 Pro Bowls in 15 years, pretty decent. That's not perennial.
That's five Pro Bowls. What are you talking about?
5 and 15 years.
You just gave me this 5
years. Revis Island was the best for 5 years. The best.
Man, I ain't mess with you, man.
All pro.
What you're saying though is, look, read them out, Chance.
That's his twin brother. My fault. They were giving. Now they started. You should be in there when they start giving some of your twin brother stats in your bio.
That's just a sloppy reporter. Who else did
3-team first team all pro? So Zach Thomas, I liked him. I always like the short linebacker.
Zach Thomas made it. He made it. I mean that to me. So to be fair, I think that's one of those inductees that is media driven.
Oh, you didn't like Zach Thomas?
I like Zach Thomas, and he had a run, but I think there's some other linebackers that could have made it in first.
10th year of eligibility, he finally got in. Almost 1,200 tackles. 3rd most in league history behind London Fletcher, Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
That's Pro Bowl.
I like Zach Thomas. I'm just saying.
That's Hall of Fame shit. You know what I mean? You wait 11 years and only 2 guys have more tackles than you. It's pretty good, don't you think? I mean, isn't your job to tackle? Rondé's not. He doesn't have the most interceptions after 15 years.
I bet if you went tackles in terms of the overall number of tackles for defensive backs, he's gonna be up, or corners at least. He's gonna be up there. Who else didn't make it in? Reggie Wayne didn't make it in. Steve Smith at receiver didn't make it in.
I'm more upset about Steve Smith than Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne was never the best receiver on his team.
Dwight Freeney didn't make it in.
See, Carl Mecklenburg, I know he didn't make it in. You guys don't know him, man. He was a monster defensive lineman, boy. He could go. He could go.
I think his longevity, he had a shorter career. Roger Craig didn't make it in. Devin Hester is the big name for me that didn't make it in. Bill Bates is safety. Leslie O'Neal. These are some of the big snubs that they talked about for the legends. Al Baker at DN. Torrey Holt at wide receiver. Man, it's hard to make it in a wide receiver, Jack. Thinking of names we just mentioned that did not make it in.
Ward didn't make
Steve
it in.
Smith, Reggie Wayne. Now you got Torrey Holt. It's hard to make it in wide receiver, Jack.
Is the other receiver in the Hall of Fame? From
you talking about Marvin Harrison?
No, the one with Holt. Who's Holt's partner?
Holt's partner was Isaac Bruce. He just made it in, I think, last year.
He wasn't in last year.
I think Isaac Bruce made it in.
I think it gets hard.
Fort Lauderdale.
I think it gets hard when you're someone on your team makes it that you're same position. Now it's like, man, you weren't even the best.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Although Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt were a pick 'em to me. So.
Yeah. Interesting though, man. So that was the Hall of Fame game. Great game. We got to see this year's inductees. What I like about the Hall of Fame is we will always argue about who should have made it and who should not. But first ballot to me should not be politically influenced. I still think that that's criminal that T.O. was not a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Criminal.
And the only way that Randy Moss was is because he had then been able to navigate his way on the right side of the media.
The boy smart.
And to my point, the Darrelle Revis thing, Revis Island, and the media machine that was behind him, it supports the theory that I'm trying to make. But I digress. Shout out to all the gentlemen and their families that were inducted or will be inducted. They are honored last night at the Hall of Fame game. Shout out to all of the football enthusiasts, baby. Although it's August and we still trying to wait for it to come full bloom. We got our first taste of it last night, baby. And it tasted good, man. I was like Pookie on New Jack. It just be calling me. We finally got a hit us on football last night. And the fact that it was the Browns, the fact that it was in Ohio, the fact that we went and got a dub, our first dub, man. I went to bed high as a kite off football.
You know that they don't count that towards the record, though, right?
I don't give a damn. I count it. I went to bed high as a kite off football, baby. I got my hit of football last night. And
the good thing is you don't have to stop eating until February. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
We just keeps going.
Keep going. Eat. Let's go.
What's next?
All this football. There is some other stuff that went on this week. Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence fight. It was a very one-sided fight. It was so one-sided that the Errol Spence memes comparing him to Martin in that one episode when he got that lump face.
I know just what you're talking about.
Oh, man. So fight aside. So the fight was very underwhelming, very one-sided. The best part about the fight is that Terrence Bud Crawford came out to Eminem. He came out to Eminem, man, lose yourself. And it was the actual Eminem who we haven't seen. We haven't spotted Eminem in a while. And it was, you know, I loved it, man. From that moment, I loved it. And then the gloves
I don't think he paid the full.
And Errol Spence got the bone beat out of his face.
Did you see that walkout? I don't think he paid Eminem the full per diem because he just announced it and just didn't even want to come out. I feel like Eminem was he was on a contract he didn't agree with because he didn't even rap the words coming out. He kind of came in. I thought he messed that up and Crawford was going to be.
Yeah, I didn't know it was him. I thought it was a stand-in or something at first, and they got closer. Like that's the real Eminem. Why ain't he rapping the songs? I thought that's the gist.
He didn't want to come in. I feel like Crawford was too worried about it. He kept being like looking back. I saw Crawford's about to get whooped. He worried about his damn intro. Man, he's not worried about nothing.
He wasn't worried about nothing, man. It was a beautiful exhibition of gloves.
I'm so glad I didn't call.
What up, Chew George? Chew, I should have had you on today. Chew, if you available, let me know, man. I'm gonna shoot you the link. You get on the show right now. I want to know why you were so wrong.
He was at the fight.
He was at the fight.
Chew goes
text
to the
me
fight
now, man.
and he flips the coin. If there's a coin flip, he'll flip the coin. He's in there. He gets pictures with the fighters. I'm so happy that I forgot to text Chew and get his take. Normally on Saturday, Chew gives me his little makes my night exciting with the fights and stuff by giving me little bets to go get after. And we've been losing a little bit though. We're on a little bit of a streak, so I think we're about to turn it around. And I forgot, and I was like, man, he's at the fight. I'm not gonna mess with him. Put all my money.
Food Jordan, you said Errol Spence was gonna win, and what Errol Spence did is he said, "Hold my beer." He went out there and took his face for how many rounds did it go? 8 or 9 rounds? I don't even remember.
A lot.
I think it went 9. It went 9 rounds. And what looked like he was trying to do is he was trying to take his face and test the leather on Crawford's gloves. and he got the bone beat out of his face. And unfortunately, fight fans who spent a whole bunch of money, not just the money, man. You know how long we waited for that fight? We waited for that fight for a long time, man. A long time. We unfortunately got the short end of the stick. Did you go to a fight party last Saturday to watch the fight?
I went to a party and then the fight broke out. But we went and got the fight at a graduation party. So it was interesting. I really, I equated to football. Spence couldn't stop the run. When the jab just keeps getting through and being that effective, if you can't stop the run, it's over. I mean, and then he was knocking him off of his feet with it looked like they were 3 different weight classes apart. The way he was hitting him and his body couldn't react because he was trying. He was trying, but he just was
bobbing and weaving. You should have been weaving and bobbing. You see what we have on the screen.
We got special
one of our amazing audience members, our supporters who watch us all the time, Shelton Chufu Jordan. He admitted that he's never been so wrong about a fight. And most people would just admit it and disappear. But no, not here at the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Not in August when we thirsty for some sports. When somebody says they've never been so wrong about a fight in my life, the Ball Hog Sports Talk, we welcome them to the front of the congregation. Chufu Jordan, what up, dog?
What up, fellas? What up?
What's
man,
up,
you know
man?
what it is.
We saw you out there live and in color. I saw you out there representing. Trying to show
man, I've never been so wrong before. I thought going into the fight for the last 5 years, I've been telling anybody that wanted to listen, all the Bud fans, if and when they fight, I want all your money. I want all the smoke. Errol Spence got the pedigree. So like I always tell people, my uncle and I have been talking boxing. My first fight I ever watched was Tommy Hearns and Hagler, and I fell in love with fights. My uncle and I.
That's a good first
for
fight.
Sure.
That's like
the best fight I've ever seen.
I lost my virginity.
Whoa, family show.
Exactly. So, but my uncle, who's been, he'd been watching fights since Sugar Ray Robinson, and we would always talk, and he always said that Olympic pedigree makes a difference. So Errol Spence had the Olympic pedigree. So I was like, I just thought he was going to be a little bit too big for Bud. I thought he was, going to walk him down, and, the pressure would have been too much for him. But obviously I was wrong. Bud proved that his dynamic
strengths.
Strengths and attributes. Yeah. He had everything. He had
smaller to me. Crawford looked like his back was bigger in the fight. I was surprised when I saw them in there. He looked bigger.
Now I will say, and this is no excuse for Errol. I thought he was dehydrated. I thought he looked dehydrated when they first showed him on the screen. Like his eyes, I told the guy sitting next to me, I was like, man, either he's high, which I don't think he's high, or he's really dehydrated.
I heard that several times. And I'll back you up to say it wasn't an excuse. I heard that from a lot of people. Say something just don't look right with him. This is before the fight started. So something just don't look right with him. And people that watch fighting often, I'm like, you have a certain look about you, and you think that it was a dehydrated look.
I think he was dehydrated. When I watched the welcome party on Tuesday, you could tell they start cutting weight probably Monday or Tuesday, and you could tell like he started looking a little thin then. And as the week went on, it started looking worse and worse. There's no excuse. He got in there, he got his butt whipped, and it is what it is. But luckily for me, man, everybody that I talked to the last 5 years that said, oh, when the fight happens, I want all the smoke. I called them right before I walked in the building, and all of them said, nah, man, I'm going to just watch the fight. So luckily, I saved myself probably $2,000-$3,000.
Well, it ain't bad. All right. Let me ask you this. Because you're our resident boxing and even MMA expert, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. The first one is this. And we in the Ball Hog Sports Talk, and we only do it one way, rough, rugged, and raw. So answer it straight to the point. Why did it take so long for this fight to happen?
That's boxing, man. Boxing So boxing's train of thought is, instead of, while we're both young and in our prime, let's build the fight. And I think it started with I mean, I guess you could go back to saying it may have started with Tyson, because Tyson and Holyfield should have fought in the early 90s and didn't. Instead of fighting Holyfield, he fought Buster Douglas and lost. But I think once Mayweather came back as Money Mayweather, then it really changed. So Mayweather was, the dominant figure, and he figured, I'll fight these guys when I want to fight them. I'll build these fights, especially the Pacquiao fight. I'll build it for the next 5 to 6 years. And then by the time they eventually fought, I mean, they were both almost 40, and that's the fight we got. So I think most fighters are still trying to do that, when the one thing about the UFC, man, is they don't allow that. The best are going to fight the best every time. Like, you're not going to have these tune-up fights and all that. So whoever you're going to fight next, that's going to be probably one of the toughest fights of your life. Whereas in boxing, and you're starting to see a little more of, I guess it's guys that think they could beat each other, going ahead and fighting while they're younger, instead of waiting 5, 6 years to let the public say, we got to have this fight, and then. And even look at this last fight. Like, they built it for 5 years and still only sold 650,000 pay-per-views. Whereas they were under the impression that they were going to sell roughly 2 million pay-per-views. So that just tells you a lot of people are streaming these fights no matter what, no matter how long you wait. And if you're both in your prime, you're both young, that's the fight people want to see. Why not give it to them? Because these two guys, realistically, this should have been the third time they're fighting. They should have fought probably 5 years ago, and then maybe fought like in 2020 or 21. And then this should have been the third time they're fighting. Whereas this is the first fight we're getting. And then if they do fight again in December, I mean, we already saw this fight. Who's really going to want to pay $80 again to watch what they saw this time? At least that's what the public's thinking. Like,
now,
what
Spence
can you
comes
do
back
different?
and somehow makes a change, and the third one is going to have 2 million pay-per-views. But right now, if this fight happens and Spence loses again, and this happens years ago, it derails his whole career. So that was going to
be my second question.
It derails
you got the automatic rematch clause. You got the automatic rematch clause that's in there. And we saw what happened in the first fight. It was very one-sided. Adjustments can be made, training differences. So I'm not saying Errol Spence is not a fluke. His record was a real record. He just was not the better man on that night. Automatic rematch clause is in there. Just as a fight purist and enthusiast, would you watch the rematch? And then sort of, sub part of the question. Because you were about to answer, you said that's not true. What does this do for his career? Because the way that the business is, the buildup and the scarcity of these fights is because it seems as though if you lose one of these in a lopsided fashion, your career is over. Where that's not the same for MMA, UFC. So what is this? The rematch clause in there? Would you watch this fight again? And then, let's be honest, what does this do for Errol Spence's career?
I'll watch it again. I wouldn't go to the fight again, but I would definitely watch it on TV again. And just to touch on whose point, Sugar Ray Leonard lost to Duran. It didn't, devastate his career. He came back and he had a couple other losses, and he was still the biggest name out there during that time.
They didn't dodge
little
back
guys.
then, though. They didn't dodge back then. It was a different era, but back
if
then
Errol were to come back and win the next fight, then that doesn't devastate his career. The first loss, if he were to win the second fight, he'd be right back where he was. If he loses the second fight, absolutely yes. He could pretty much retire at that point.
We're in a perfection stage right now. LeBron will never be considered as good as Jordan because he didn't go 6-0 in championships, and they want to see Money Mayweather's undefeated. We have an expectation. Back in the 70s and the 80s, when we just wanted to see purists and competition and war, people went out there and they fought and they did what they had to go do. Now, if you're not 50-0 and 60-0, you're not good. You're not. We're just in that kind of a environment. I like the way MMA does it because you have a contract with The UFC, you don't. It's not like you're just a freelancer. You work for me, and I give you the fights, and here's the contract. And obviously, they have some sort of choice in some of the things, but not total choice. You can't dodge anybody. But that's why their product is so good, and that's why they're winning. That's why
you like it as a fan, as a spectator.
I like it as a fan,
but as a fighter, you wouldn't like that business model. No, they're not getting paid.
But I'm saying, as the public, it's like the reason why UFC has grown so much and does whatever is because they looked at what was wrong with boxing and they changed it. They said, all right, now granted, should they be getting the guys a little bit more money? Yeah, but the UFC still, it's a league. They control their product. Boxing is just all over the place, and they got everyone. The three of us can start off a boxing federation tomorrow and put a belt out there and just get commissioned, and we're ready to go. There's all these different belts, and no one really quite understands what belt is which because no one really belongs. They belong to everything. So you can dodge and do whatever, and everyone can build these careers up. And you got this guy that's 40-0, this guy that's 50-0, and 30-0, and 20-0, and they're like, I got to build my brand up so I can get more from my fights. I think if we did it the way that they did in the past, and there was a league, you could survive losses because everybody would have them. Right?
So I'll say I disagree. I like the way boxing does it from the boxer standpoint. I make it, to me, it's akin to the era that we grew up in under college football, all three of us. The era that we played college football in, that old school era where we basically we were the UFC fighters. We belonged to this thing that was college football. And once you went to a school, to just transfer was detrimental to your career. You had to sit a year out. Right. We couldn't make money. I then make the same analogy that boxing is like this generation's version of college football, where you could easily transfer, right? You can make NIL money. You can build your brand before you get there. And now they got to pay you just to get there. So as a boxer, from the boxer point of view or the fighter point of view, I would disagree. You gonna break the tie. I mean, we're looking at it from two different points of view. I think you're saying it more from a spectator standpoint, Flo, and I'm saying it from the fighter standpoint. Chufu, you the expert. You're the resident expert. We'll give you last word on it before we let you go for the day, man. In terms of the structure, business structure, which one do you prefer?
Well, I think there's a misconception on the UFC gets a lot of flack because people say, oh, they don't pay their fighters. If you look at Crawford and Spence before this fight, a lot of people don't know the biggest paydays they had ever had was right at $2 million. Now, they both made $25 million for this fight, but the biggest paydays they had ever had before this fight was $2 million each. All right. The UFC, they pay their champions. The champions, and even if you're a former champion, this past weekend, Alex Pereira, who beat Israel Adesanya, he made $1.5 million as a contender. He's no longer champion. Yes, the bottom of the barrel guys don't make money, but that's the same way in boxing. If you're not an Olympic pedigree guy, you're not going to come in making $100,000, $200,000. You're going to come in making $30,000, $40,000. Same way the UFC pays their guys. It's just a structure that a lot of people don't talk about in boxing. The one thing about boxing, like I said, when they wait 4 or 5 years, yes, they will eventually get paid $25 million each. But had they had that fight earlier, who knows? They probably would have had $25 million the second fight. They probably would have had 25 or more the third fight. So I think the UFC structure, because what I love about the UFC, of course, is the best are going to fight the best, and I don't have to wait 4 or 5 years for that to happen. I know the next card is going to give me the fight I want to see.
Fair. Chufu Jordan, man. Let me just say thank you for always supporting the Ball Hog Sports Talk. B, thank you for coming on today. And C, next time a fight, whether it be UFC or boxing, we're going to get your prediction. I think I might have lost him. We're going to get your prediction before the fight, man, and we're going to make that wager. I ain't going to let you get off that money, bro.
Hey, and if you're looking for a Ford down in the Louisiana area, go look up Chew.
I'm not always right, but actually, Flo, we hit a few every now and then.
We get a few. I'm looking forward to what we get this weekend.
Absolutely. Chufu Jordan, man. My classmate. Appreciate you, my brother. Thanks for coming on.
For sure. I love y'all, brothers.
Much love, bro. Impromptu. That's how you know he really knows what he's talking about. You know, he didn't know he was doing that, man. But great fight. The business side of it, we can go back and forth on which is the better business. To me, scarcity matters, right? I'm an event promoter. I don't want to be and I say an event promoter. I don't want to be a party promoter. Party promoters are throwing parties every week. I want some scarcity to it. When I do my event, I want you to know if you don't come to this event, get this experience, that you ain't gonna get it next week. And so I kind of like boxing, man. I just they got to tighten it up and do a little better. But
I do at the highest levels. I like it, but I guess the biggest difference is when you try to compare it is when I say boxing and UFC. And I grew up boxing fan, a huge boxing fan when all the way through my youth, until I get married, and then it started to kind of decline as the heavyweight started to dwindle. So did I.
Right.
But there was a huge, obviously in the 80s and 90s or whatever. But then when De La Hoya was hot and Tito Trinidad was hot and Sugar Shane Mosley were hot, like that was a great era for boxing. Yeah. I really loved it, and I watched a lot of it. But if I'm being fair, I watch boxing. I'm watching the fight. The undercards, I'm not paying any attention to those. If I watch UFC, I'm cutting it on from the first undercard all the way through. So it's a better product when you can tell me how is the mediocre stuff. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So
you're not gonna hear me argue that, man. UFC definitely has something there in terms of drawing in the fans, and all you gotta do is look at the numbers. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't. The numbers are crazy. It's astronomical just how they built their fan base. Breaking news, and we love to do breaking news on the Ball Hog Sports Talk. The breaking news literally just went across the wire that Oregon and Washington's what seemed to be imminent move from Pac-12 to Big Ten, the rumors that have built over the last 24 hours, breaking news says that has lost momentum overnight. And that breaking news, while you heard it here on the Ball Hog Sports Talk, brings us to conference realignment. Because this imminent shift from Pac-12 to Big Ten is now lost momentum overnight, but I think it captures really the essence of just this roller coaster that is conference realignment.
Mm-hmm.
While they're saying it's breaking news, I thought it was breaking news that they were even considering leaving, but now 24 hours later, the breaking news is that has lost momentum overnight, and if you see who's on first, who's on second, we don't know where these teams are going to be. And I look, just like the players are moving around, now the teams, entire athletic departments are shifting conferences like it's musical chairs. Is this good for college sports?
I'm confused, to be honest with you. And when I say that,
me too. Join the crowd. We all confused at this point.
We're moving towards a larger playoff, right?
Right.
So with all this consolidation that's going on in the conferences, if the Big Ten, and I'm trying to take off my bias because obviously I'd love to see Northwestern play all these teams that we never played, that would be fantastic. But if I take that hat off and I just put the fan hat on,
right,
I look at it and say, why would you want to have 2 conferences, 3 conferences, and then the playoffs are as big as they are? Wouldn't you rather be like, if I'm in the Pac-12 right now or whatever, the Pac-9 or Pac-8.5 or whatever they are left, I mean, until further notice, they're going to get a seat at the table as far as this playoff is concerned. So why are you rushing to get out of it to join the Big Ten, where you're going to have to play everybody, and you could be a conference playoff or NCAA playoff team, whatever they call it now. But you had to play USC, Michigan, Northwestern, Ohio State, see what I did there, and Penn State all in the same, Michigan all in the same season in the regular season. Shit, by the time you get to the playoffs, it's been told. Your story's been told already.
Fair.
So I don't understand that part of it, and I don't really see the benefit of making 2 conferences.
I think it's because you're saying the conference, we're expanding what the playoffs look like. And the elephant in the room is this. The cat is out of the bag, y'all. We've known it from a revenue generation standpoint forever, is that the revenue generating sports, football and basketball, and in some campuses, maybe women's basketball, that actually generate revenue on the college campus We knew already that they are essentially paying for all the other sports on campus. That was already clear from a business standpoint. What we're seeing now in this conference realignment thing is you're taking an entire athletic department, going from one conference to another, and as expanding this conference, expanding this college playoffs and the football sense is telling us, in conjunction with this conference realignment, is that if the playoffs expand, the conference championship technically doesn't matter. At least doesn't matter as much. And because these conferences, these institutions are willing to change conferences so readily, what I'm reading from it is people are saying it's only about college football. Because in any sport, your daughter's a volleyball player. It used to be a big deal to win the Pac-12 in volleyball to any of the Pac-12 schools.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going to drop from Pac-12 to Big 10 to Big 12, all within 4 years, we're saying these other sports that attach so much meaning and value to these conference championships are definitely on the low end of the totem pole. Am I reading too much into that? Because I would argue that the conference realignment is a byproduct of the fact that college football playoffs is expanding. And so it's not as important to win your conference. But in saying that, you got to remember all the other sports programs at each one of these institutions that are swept into this conference realignment, where conference championships are like the pinnacle of what you're trying to get accomplished in that sport.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it used to be, there was levels to this, right? You want to win the conference, you want to win this, and then you want to win a national championship at the end. Now it's football, national championship, or bust. But then there's the revenue side we can't ignore, right? There's revenue. And I think the reason why this Washington, Oregon thing here is it's diluting the revenue. And why do they want to leave if they're not going to get their full share? They're going to have to wait 6 years to be the little brother. That would bother me. I would have a hard time with that. Better off trying to build your own. But you're right. Football's driving the ship. There's no consideration for any of the other sports and how horrible. There's going to be some sports. I mean, think about the sports that play midweek. Like right now, UCLA is going to have to play Rutgers in baseball on a Tuesday. And they're going to have to fly out there on a Tuesday and come back Wednesday. That's trash. That's terrible.
That's the other part of it. There used to be, and when Notre Dame was really, really considering going into a conference, right? The Big Ten was discussed, ACC was discussed, and I'm not one of those people. I love my school. I'm a homer with a lot of things, but I don't have on rosy glasses such that I don't think that Notre Dame is moved by money too. So let me say that and put a hard stop, period, exclamation point there. But then I'll make the next statement and say the conversation was largely driven by academics.
Yeah.
None of these conversations are driven by academics right now. And so how do we expect the student athlete to even acknowledge the obligation to go to class? It's just, I think these institutions are really opening a can of worms that is going to have long-lasting ripple effects on what college sports look like and what these athletes and how these athletes approach being a student athlete on a college campus.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an old man view of it. I recognize that. Sometimes I do old man stuff. That was an old man view of it, man. But man, it feels as though this is something impure about this, right? That they're moving so quick, so fast. FSU has been talking about their willingness to leave the ACC. Bubba Cunningham, who's started his career in administration, actually went to Notre Dame. Notre Dame man, athletic director at UNC, the Tar Heels now in Chapel Hill, says he came out and he basically spoke pretty loud and proud about how dangerous it is for FSU to be barking about its willingness to leave the ACC. But FSU is just the latest example of what this has become, man. This thing is definitely feeling like a whole bunch of power brokering that is largely, if not exclusively, driven by money.
It is. Now we got Tom Herzog again, one of our loyal listeners and contributors. Shout out to him last week for actually contributing with our the title of our show. So I'd give him a shout out for that.
Oh yeah, thanks, Tom. Appreciate you, brother.
Tom. Appreciate it. Love when you guys. For those of you who do send me text during the week about the show, I just love to hear that you guys are thinking about what we're going to do. So I'll put that out there. I don't want to get flooded now because, I can't think about everything. But I do like the fact that people think about what we do for our show. But he mentioned before long the government might step in. I always laughed. Like when Congress got involved in baseball and they had Sammy Sosa and all those people out there, I was like, what are we doing? Like
a congressional hearing. Yeah,
what are we doing? Right. Like, is this what our government should be thinking about?
They had their congressional report about steroids in baseball.
Steroids in baseball. And I said, are we really doing this? I mean, I know there's a lot of money involved and do whatever, but like, come on, man. We foreign affairs, economy, like stay in your leg, like laws.
Yeah, I mean,
reproductive rights.
You know what I mean? Former president getting indicted, so there's other things that they should be really concerned with.
Getting involved in sports.
I do think the government might get involved with this.
They might
because look, government and Tom. Another great point that you make. It's all about the money. Everything else is just noise. And if you look at the conference realignment, you look at what is either prompting or preventing institutions from making the leap or staying. It's all about money. And so when you keep following the money trail, and you start looking at these NIL deals, how recruits are making decisions based on NIL deals that are all about money, or kids transferring because of NIL deals that are all about money. And when you're talking about an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old young person, I ain't going to say kid, right? Because they can vote, they can go to wars. I ain't going to say kid. But when it's purely about money, I think there's this escalated level of danger. And then things happen. For example, you have the Clemson kid dismissed because he's taking pictures of his teammates, unbeknownst to them.
And he didn't pay taxes.
And putting them up on OnlyFans because it's all about money. You got the kicker from Iowa who was dismissed. He had a betting account in his mama name. I'm going to put it in my mama name. Surprise, surprise. They traced it and found that he was betting on games in his mama name because it's all about money. 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids don't make good decisions when it's purely about money. The institutions that have patted themselves on the back, being research institutions, right, being in care of the future bright minds of America, are also guilty of basically turning it into a money pit. And to me, I think that a lot of people, when the dust settles and the music stops in this musical chair run, there's going to be a lot of people with some very bloody hands and dirty hands because they have turned this into just purely being about money. The idea of calling an athlete a student athlete in 2023 is almost laughable. And as a coach and an advocate for the academics and seeing what it has done for me in my life, I struggle with that. Because there's going to be the creme de la creme of college athletes that take full advantage of the monetary opportunities that come their way. But that's going to be a very small slice. The rest of those student athletes are going to have to enter into a working world at some point with hopefully people skills, academic skills, job training skills that they got from institutions. And I'm thinking that whole process of developing bright minds is quickly going out the window, man, and it's becoming all about money.
It is, and we were doing so well. I felt like the NCAA had put in some sanctions with graduation rates where you could lose scholarships, and I think there was even some like bowl
eligibility. Yes, bowl eligibility. Yeah. The bowls themselves had a stipulation where they could put something on academic requirements. Yes,
and that as I said, that shit's dead. With all the alignment and NIL and all the stuff like that, the graduation rate of people who hit the portal is under 30%. 40% people never find anything else. So all those people are just done. They're off your graduation rate. I know they juke the book sometimes with some of these people, but like at the end of the day, it's just going to start to get to the point where they can't even penalize people for graduating because they're going to say, I don't know, he doesn't go here anymore. He's just not here.
Right.
He transferred. He left. So I feel bad that we're losing that. I do like to see the kids get money. I can't solve all the problems there, but I think this realignment is just confusing for me as to like why they're doing it. And again, back to the money. I think that the guys are supposed to make 95. The member teams are supposed to make $95 million a year starting next year. Why would you want to invite people to the party and dilute that?
Hey, look, man.
I don't get it. Like, who's benefiting from it? You know, the Big Ten is just a collection of people. Like, it's not like there's a Big Ten entity that's making all the money and profiting, and then whatever. All that money's getting, you know, they have their operating budget, and then they send the rest of the money back to the school. So I don't want anybody to come to the party.
I think the people are pumping the brakes when they realize that the TV deals aren't going to grow at the same rate that the conferences are growing, right? All these other media-related and monetary opportunities that come with additional institutions coming to the conference are a little slower to change than the conferences are changing. They're moving faster than the money can move. And so that hence breaking news. Our breaking news, how we got to this point, was the imminent shift of Oregon and Washington from Pac-12 to the Big Ten is no longer imminent. And look, I'm not a fly on the wall.
Don't buy any of that stuff. Everything sounds crazy until you hear
until it shifts and is imminent again. But
until it happens.
While I'm not a fly on the wall, I was not CC'd on the email. I'm pretty certain that breaking news has something to do with the fact that all right, the money doesn't necessarily make sense there. Let's hop into something else, man, because the sport of sports in summertime, as the episode is called, August. August. We went straight to it. August. What is the sport of sport in the summertime? What would you say is the sport of the summer? Don't mess this up.
Baseball?
Pop quiz. Baseball. I guess. I don't watch a lot of baseball. You probably got the right answer there, actually.
Baseball, I mean.
You messed up where I was going with this, but you got the right answer.
I don't know why we were talking about baseball.
I'll say the second sport in the summer then.
In the summer?
Yes.
I mean, football's fall. Basketball ends in the summer. Then there's baseball. Is there another sport? Soccer? WNBA? What are you saying?
WNBA. There you go. It took you a minute to get there, but you got
I didn't know where we were going. That was
a pop quiz. And your answer was right, and I was wrong. Baseball is probably the sport of summer. But WNBA is a close second, damn it.
Okay.
WNBA, man, this week is Miss 10K.
Oh,
Let's give a shout out to Diana Taurasi, man. She's the first ever WNBA player to reach a total of 10,000 points. Now, if you think you compare total points to NBA players, like, yeah, man, but we got guys that score 30,000. No. WNBA has now gotten to the point where they play 35 games. NBA is playing 82 games. What Diana Taurasi did this week is nothing short of amazing. And I just want to make sure we give her props. She's at 41 years. I think she's 41. Last night, she scored 42 points. First time she had scored 42 points in regulation, over 40 points in regulation since 2010. That's 13 years ago, y'all. And so we celebrate LeBron and his longevity and him defying freaking Mother Nature. Let's do the same thing for Diana Taurasi, man. She scored the 10,000th point on a three-pointer. Shout out to her. That's amazing. So I wanted to make sure I gave her flowers. Shout out Miss 10K, Diana Taurasi. That's a big deal, man. That's a really big deal. When you look at what you got to do to get to that point total, because of the limited number of games that they have over the summer, pretty freaking impressive. If you look at the number of miles that she's put on her body by playing overseas, if you look at the additional miles that she's put on her body, because in terms of international basketball play on the women's side, she has been the best. That she has been Carmelo Anthony times 10 when it comes to her productivity and impact on women's basketball and international basketball games, FIBA, right? Shout out to Diana Taurasi for being able to score 10,000 points at 41 years of age. Shout out to you. while we are talking about women's sport, man, I got to get on the U.S. women's national team. They have limped, and I mean limped, into the next stage of the World Cup run. They have looked really bad, right? Because they came in thinking, and rightly so, that they were going to be unstoppable because they've been unstoppable. But super talented roster has looked really pedestrian against the rest of the world so far. In their first game in this Group E stage, they won 3-0 over Vietnam. Not a surprise. But it was followed by a 1-1 draw versus the Netherlands, in which they were down. First time they have been down in a match since I don't even know when. Long time. Long time. Come from behind 1-1 draw. And then, while gutsy, last night was a 0-0 draw with Portugal, in which Portugal should have probably won. And that's how they escaped. And I use the word escape because that's what they did. They escaped Group E and reached the round of 16, limping, hobbling, battered, and they got to go play Sweden on Sunday. It's 5 a.m. on Fox. I'm sure a lot of us won't be watching it, but we should make sure we at least record it, because I don't know if this team playing this way is going to be in line to win what would have been a historic third World Cup title, because it just doesn't look like this is the team to do it. What say you, man? I know we don't watch a ton of soccer over the summer.
Soccer is fluky and streaky, so I think they could. All those games can be behind them. They still have the talent out there. They got Dennis Rodman's daughter out there, so you know the worm. She's gonna come in there and do a little something. But there's a thing about soccer that just drives me a little bit crazy is that there's so many fluky things to make a game happen. A ball bouncing a certain way, you know, they don't score enough for like even a dominant team that should be winning to win 1-0, you know. So you never know what happened, but they're still in it. It's a survival game. All the games in the past pool, your pool play record doesn't follow you once you get into this the round. So
fair.
They just got to win 3 more, and they'll be champions. And they got the talent to do it. They just need to wake the hell up. You don't have to keep playing bad. Look at how many times you see somebody in a basketball 7-game series get whooped by 30, and the next game they win by 30. You know what I mean? Like, you got the players out there. They just got to get it together. And now that's a wake-up call.
So you heard it here. The Ball Hog Sports Talk, my man, the Big Flow Show just gave y'all wake-up call. Wake y'all ass up, because I think I am going to try to wake my ass up on Sunday at 5 a.m. and maybe like 5:30.
That's 4 o'clock over here. I might stay up.
That's early.
4 o'clock in the morning.
I believe that we can win. I know that was means, but still, come on. Let's go, ladies. Let's get this third consecutive World Cup title. Let's do it. Let's go. USA all the way. They got to play much better than they have. That they did in Group E. With that, man, let's get in the middle of the court. The ball's being passed to you. It's a no-look joint. It's the Ball Hog spotlight moment where all the lights are off. The ball is in your hand. I don't need you to pass it. I need a bucket. I need what you have picked that we have not talked about today from Sports Business Entertainment, that's going to bring the funk and bring the light to the spotlight on the court. Big Flow Show. What you got?
With all that introduction, I feel like I got to say more than I have to say. But you pass it to me and be like, half-price wings at Chili's this weekend. No, you know what? Real exciting moment for me. Probably don't mean it's not the big moment for everyone else, but Skip Holtz was just hired as a special advisor to the head coach of Northwestern. You know, obviously I played for Lou Holtz, and Skip Holtz was one of the coaches on the staff. So we got a personal relationship with him. Not that we were talking every day, but you know, it's just kind of cool to sit there and see my son going to be out there with the Holtz out there. You know, it's interesting. Cool. Everybody likes Skip. Skip's a great dude. I think they made a good decision at Northwestern by.
He's the assistant. He's the advisor to.
So here's the situation: is the head coach Braun was a D coordinator they hired in January, right? So they figured, all right, well now he's a head coach, you know, and he said himself, had this happened in January, he'd be hiring a defensive coordinator. But since it happened with 2-3 weeks before camp, what's more disruptive? Trying to make him the head coach, bringing a whole new D coordinator, switching the defense up. and having someone else call the defense that he just spent the spring and summer installing.
That's disruptive.
That's disruptive. So he's going to still call the defense, and he's going to have somebody help him with the head coach duties, which makes a lot more sense because those are a little bit more universal. So he's still going to be the head coach, but he's going to have Skip as his special advisor to help him get through some of these rough moments. He's never had to think about being a head coach. He hasn't even been a Power 5 coach yet. So I think it's a great idea. They also supposedly they hired in the D coordinator from Southern Illinois to do something with his open position. I think what he's going to do is he's going to call the defense, but he's going to have kind of a underboss for both positions he had. So Smart. I think it's worked. But bring in a Holtz. Wow, Holtz is hero. See what he can do.
That is cool, man. And a full circle moment in terms of your life. That's dope, man. So shout out to Skip Holtz. Shout out to Northwestern. Tough situation. We've talked about it several times over the last few weeks. Tough situation because those young men are in the path of all of this media frenzy going on around them. And remember, they're 18, 19, 20 years old. So shout out to that decision and good luck to them. My ball hog spotlight moment, as you pass the ball to me, I'm going to get that thing between the limb. You know, I'm going to show out a little bit. But when it's time to get to the cup,
Matumbo.
No. But when I get to the cup, it's not going to be that exciting. My ball hawk spotlight moment, man, is for my team. I want to say thank you to everyone who supported the raffle because we had this virtual 50-50 raffle. The guy who won is Tim Grau, who is from the WSBT Notre Dame pregame radio show that you and I have done. Actually, he asked us to do the Ireland show too. I forgot to ask you. So I asked you on air, so everybody heard that I asked you. But he won it roughly about $9,000, but that pot grew to a certain amount that while Tim won handsomely the $9,000 pot, my kids won. So I want to say thank you to everyone who bought a ticket, who circulated the link because they got uniforms. We're doing team dinners when we go to away games. We're going to buy some safety equipment. I'm trying to get Tim to donate something back. If you know Tim, just give him a nudge to buy those Guardian caps. And Tim is an insurance guy, so I think that works perfectly to buy some extra insurance to protect our babies. So Tim, go ahead and feel free to give us some of those winnings back. We got a postseason banquet.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
In front of millions.
Hey man. But the reason I bring that up, man, is because we have our first game. Our preseason game is this week, this Sunday. The journey begins as we go on a quest to win another national championship. That's at the very, very end. We're way further down the highway. We don't see downtown just yet. We don't see the Sears Tower, to use my man Big Flo's analogy. We're in the first inning, and we're not thinking about a championship. We are thinking about building young men and making them better every snap, every possession, every quarter of every game, and then getting them ready for high school and beyond. That is a joy that I can't even describe, man. It's being a part of these young men's lives and being a part of their development. So I'm fortunate God has blessed me with that. But I'm also blessed with those people that are in my network that helped us raise that money in the raffle. So I thank you from the bottom of my soul. With that, anything? My bad.
Yeah, breaking news again. The Pac-12 wasn't able to get the grant and rights signed this morning, so they're still expecting the Ducks and Huskies to join the Big Ten.
We break news and then re-break it.
We re-break it.
We re-break the news.
If the egg don't break right the first time, break another one.
Just goes to the point, man. It has become musical chairs. This has been a great show, man. We ask you, like we do every week, we ask you humbly as you watch it, even after the fact. Please like, please comment, please share. If there's any topic that hits on a nerve, you and your friend been arguing about it in the beauty salons or in the barber shops or at the water cooler at work, go ahead and tag that friend. Let them see how we discuss it and how we analyze it. There's a lot of debates of who's going to win that Crawford Spence fight. Tag that person. Let them hear how we covered it. We had the resident expert, Chufu Jordan, hop on. Whatever it is, we ask you humbly to like, comment, share. Tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know so they can hear how we discuss things. And please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and the podcast. Y'all know what it is, man. It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We had the Big Flow Show in the building today from the Middle Coast. I am your boy, B Brown ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Breezy. This has been our show. We do it rough, rugged, and raw. Sports, business, entertainment. Catch us next Friday.
Acceleration.
Did I miss Mr.
You forgot that one.
I forgot that one?
If you're going to give yourself 15 nicknames, you might
use all 15.
Use all.
Rewind. I am your boy, B Brown ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy. Did I miss another one?
Mouth of the South. Go ahead.
Mouth of the South.
Right.
You got him. Oh, I like it. Yo, I was just a test.
I've been having to listen to this crap for years.
Yeah, you passed the pop quiz. I want to make sure you knew them names, baby. But this has been our show, man. We're going to catch y'all, man. Catch us next week. Same time-ish. Same place, for sure. Same crew, maybe. But the same sports, business, entertainment. Rough,
same energy.
Come and surprise us.
Not bad for August, huh? All right.
Bad for August, man. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend, man. Blessings. Peace. Oh, I'm sorry. We is out. Peace.